Hey, this is a video for April 2024. There are some people on the planet right now that are asking questions like, what do I do about this circumstance? What do I do about this issue? And there are also some people who are asking questions like, what am I? What is this? Why am I here? And if you find yourself more and more often in the second group, I just want you to know, first of all, that's a really great sign. And I want to be here to offer for you to continue to think that way. In other words, we often think we're alone in these kind of questions because we look at the society we live in and think no one's asking that. And I want you to know that's not true. There are more and more people that are asking those questions. And if you're asking questions like that, you're connecting to something much deeper. Asking questions like, what am I, is very expansive and very exciting. Asking questions like, what do I do, feeds an egoic construct that's focused more on things that are in the temporary. One of the things that's going to be happening in April for the people that are asking these deeper questions is a connection to much more the permanent. In other words, there are a lot of circumstances that all of us have in our life, and many of those circumstances we still have to do something about. But a lot of us are going to lose our energetic charge to things that are temporary. In other words, if someone says something about you, you understand that's passing, whether it's good or bad. You're not connected to, I'm loved because they said something positive, or I'm hated because they said something negative. You're connected to here. The one that's connected to the circumstance wants to change circumstances because when we were kids, that's how we learned to function because we had parents with egos. When we had parents with egos, we had to protect ourselves. We had to avoid getting yelled at or shamed or hurt or hit. And so we change circumstances all the time to not get hurt. And that's a temporary us. It's almost like for many of us, a 5-year-old is still running the show. And the 5-year-old is much more caught on circumstances. It has an emotional charge to something like, I'm going broke. It has emotions to what people say. It has emotions to what's going on in the world. Now, that is a level of empathy that's awesome. But the best service you can bring to all of humanity is to connect to the truth of what you are, to connect to the permanent. In other words, things can happen. There are things happening, but there's also a you that understands that every single thing is passing. And your job is to connect to a much higher frequency of the now. The now is much more you than the one that fixes. And when you start to connect to the now, you will notice an expansion. And this expansion brings much more contribution to the world than you in a smaller frequency that's trying to fix everything, right? You, as the 5-year-old, still here fixing issues, actually keeps a lot of the issues going, right? Let's say you have someone in your life that's bringing a bunch of turmoil in your life, and hell, you might be trying to fix this at that level and still kind of keeping that person or those things in your life. But if you could allow yourself to undo the person and stop taking things personally, you move to a higher and higher and higher frequency. And this you can do so much more for the world than the doer at a lower frequency. And so much more will come back to you if you're not caught in the circumstances as much. In other words, instead of thinking, how do I make more money? Think more, what am I? This will move you to a higher frequency that will be much more valuable. You bring more value from the true you than from an egoic you that does more. So more abundance can come into your life because that will be the match to you in the frequency that you're in. Obviously, if you're connected to this true you, a much better relationship could unfold. In fact, things that don't align or people that don't align to date you would be out of that frequency immediately. And you are a frequency of love. It's not judgment for those people. It's just you are divinely protected the more you connect to the divine. And so you will bring a higher frequency to the world. And one of the things you'll notice that's happening around now and going into April is the temporary things are affecting you less. And ironically, one of the ways they affect you less is by affecting you really loudly, so much that it's just what's going on. You're going to have to let go of it. In other words, your grab onto temporary circumstances is either going to make you crazy, like holding on to this issue is making you exhausted, so you're going to have to let go of it, which means you're going to also let go of the one that's holding on to it, right? You're going to let go of the you that tries to control everything, tries to fix everything, and it'll be replaced by the true you. You'll notice as you connect to this you in the now that doesn't know what to do, but is more connected to what am I? That there's a power here, that everything's okay, that everything is changing, that things will change faster because of what you're emitting. The frequency you're offering creates more change, creates more change for the rest of the world, creates higher healing. And you'll also receive much more calling level ideas that are inspired, that expand you, that really create a new world from a higher frequency versus the most you can do from that exhausted doer. That's what's unfolding in this time. And you'll notice you just can't get caught in temporary things anymore. It's exhausting. And things that throw you off, like an addiction or whatever, is making you really tired really quick. That's because overall, the frequency on the planet is higher, it's bigger, and you're here to connect to it and stop holding on to anything that's in the way of your connection to the highest you. That's what April's about. Your connection to the actual you and the release of your addiction to the fixing of the temporary, because all these things are still going to change, even if you don't egoically fix it. And wait till you see how much things change when you're connected to the true you.